The gym smelled like iron and arrogance. Los Angeles, 1972. Somewhere in the industrial district, past the neon lights and the palm trees, a warehouse had been converted into a temple for the obsessed. Rusted barbells. Chalk dust, floating in the yellow light, like snow in hell. And tonight, a crowd had gathered, not to train, but to witness. She stood in the center of the room. 190 pounds of sculpted fury. Her arms were thicker than most men's thighs. Her trapezius muscles rose like mountains behind her neck. She had spent 15 years building this body, protein by protein, rep by rep, scream by scream. She had arm wrestled longshoremen and left them crying. She had bent steel bars at county fairs while children watched in terror and wonder. They called her the Hammer, and tonight the Hammer wanted to break a myth. He entered without sound, 135 pounds, 5 feet 7 inches. He moved through the crowd like water through stones. No resistance, no announcement, just presence. Bruce Lee wore a simple black shirt, no entourage, no theatrics, just those eyes, dark pools that reflected nothing and absorbed everything. The crowd parted, not out of respect, out of instinct, the way animals move when a predator passes. She watched him approach, studied his frame, narrow waist, shoulders wider than they should be for his size, and his midsection, visible even through the fabric, rippled like something alive, like snakes coiled beneath silk. "So," she said, her voice a low growl, "you're the one they say can't be hurt." Bruce Lee said nothing. He stopped 3 feet from her, close enough to smell her. Chalk, sweat, and something chemical. Steroids, maybe, or just pure, distilled ambition. "I've heard the stories," she continued. "Men punch you and break their hands. Karate masters can't make you flinch. Bullshit. Circus tricks. Camera angles." Still, he said nothing. She stepped closer. Her shadow swallowed his. "I'm not some Hollywood stuntman, little man. I've cracked ribs. I've collapsed lungs. When I hit something, it stays hit." The crowd had stopped breathing. 40 people in that room, and not a single exhale. The air itself had thickened. That strange electricity before a storm, before a car crash, before something irreversible. Bruce Lee tilted his head. Just slightly, like a bird examining an insect. Then he pulled off his shirt. The room gasped. His abdomen was not human. It was architecture. 8 distinct segments of muscle, carved so deep you could lose a finger in the valleys between them. But it wasn't just definition, it was density. The skin stretched over those muscles, like leather over drum. No fat, no softness, nothing to absorb impact. "You want to test the myth," Bruce Lee finally said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "Then test it." He placed his hands behind his back. "Hit me. Anywhere on my stomach. As hard as you can. No rules, no holding back." The Hammer stared at him. For the first time in 15 years, something cold moved through her chest. Not fear, not exactly, but a whisper, a tiny voice asking, "What if the stories are true?" She silenced it. She began to breathe, deep, rhythmic, the way she breathed before a maximum lift. Her fists clenched, her forearm muscles twisted like bridge cables under tension. Bruce Lee closed his eyes, and in that darkness behind his eyelids, he found what he always found: stillness, the philosophy he had spent 20 years refining. The body is not flesh. The body is decision. Pain is not sensation. Pain is permission. He would not give permission tonight. His abdominal wall tightened, not through effort, but through being. Each muscle fiber aligned. Each cell remembered its purpose. His stomach became a wall. Then the wall became steel. Then the steel became something harder. He exhaled once, and said 3 words: "Whenever you're ready." But bodies like his are not born. They are forged. In fire. In repetition. In the kind of pain that makes ordinary men quit and extraordinary men begin. Rewind. Hong Kong, 1958. A teenage Bruce Lee stands shirtless in front of a concrete wall. His Sifu watches from the shadows, smoking a cigarette, saying nothing. In Bruce's hand, a wooden board wrapped in leather. Again, the Sifu says. Bruce swings the board into his own stomach. The impact echoes through the empty quoon. His diaphragm spasms. Bile rises in his throat. His vision flickers at the edges. Again, he swings, harder. The board cracks against his abdominal wall. Something inside him screams to stop. Every survival instinct evolution spent millions of years perfecting. He ignores it. Again, 300 times, every morning, for 4 years. By the time he was 18, local fighters would challenge him to gut checks, trading stomach punches until someone collapsed. Bruce Lee, never collapsed. Men twice his size would swing until their arms burned, until their knuckles bled, until they looked at him with something between hatred and worship. He would just stand there, breathing, waiting for them to understand. Los Angeles, 1970. A different kind of pain. Bruce Lee lies on a hospital bed. His lower back is a symphony of agony. A good morning exercise gone wrong. A barbell that slipped. A disc that herniated so severely the doctors used words like permanent and wheelchair and never again. Never kick again. Never fight again. Never move the way water moves. He stared at the ceiling for 6 months. But in that stillness, something else grew. Not muscles, conviction. He read anatomy textbooks, physiology journals, ancient Taoist manuscripts. He mapped the human body like a general maps enemy territory. And he discovered something. The stomach is not just muscle. The stomach is psychology. It is where humans store fear, where anxiety coils like a serpent, where the body decides, in a fraction of a second, whether to fight or flee. If I remove the fear, Bruce thought, I remove the weakness. He began training from the bed. Isometric contractions, visualizations, so intense his muscles would twitch without moving. He imagined his abdomen as iron, not metaphorically, but literally. Cell by cell, fiber by fiber. He rewrote his own biology through sheer repetition of thought. When he finally stood again, he was not the same man who fell. He was less and more. The training that followed became legend. 500 punches to his own stomach, every morning, before breakfast. The dragon flag. An exercise he invented where he would lie on a bench, grip the edges, and raise his entire body using only his abdominal muscles, straight as a plank, horizontal to the ground, holding, until lesser men vomited from watching. Electrical muscle stimulators. Machines designed for physical therapy strapped to his midsection while he slept. 8 hours of involuntary contractions. 8 hours of his muscles working while his mind dreamed. He did not train his abs to look good. He trained them to survive. The stomach, he once told a student, is where the body stores its lies. It tells you that you are fragile, that you can be broken, that pain is your master. He paused, smiled that strange, sad smile. I do not negotiate with liars. Now. Los Angeles, 1972. The warehouse gym. The hammer is winding up her punch. 190 pounds of force, preparing to collide with 135 pounds of philosophy. But she doesn't know what she's hitting. She sees a stomach, muscle and skin, something that should compress, something that should yield. She doesn't see the 14 years, the concrete walls, the wooden boards, the hospital bed, the 6 months of darkness, the 500 daily punches, the electrical storms across sleeping flesh. She doesn't see the 10,000 hours of a man at war with his own softness. She sees a target. She is wrong. She exhales, and the world slows down. Her right foot pivots against the concrete floor, a quarter turn, grinding chalk and dust beneath her heel. The rotation begins in her ankle, travels up through her calf. Her quadriceps engage, all 4 heads firing in sequence. Her hip rotates, her obliques twist, her latissimus dorsi contracts, pulling her shoulder forward like a catapult releasing. This is not a punch, this is physics. Mass times velocity. 190 pounds of muscle, bone and 15 years of iron discipline, all of it funneling into 5 knuckles, wrapped in calloused skin. Her fist accelerates. 20 miles per hour, 30, 40. The crowd sees a blur, but time has fractured for those who know how to look. Every microsecond stretches into eternity. The air parts around her knuckles. Her tendons strain against their anchors. Her face contorts, not with anger, but with investment. Everything she is, everything she has built, everything she believes about strength and power, and the hierarchy of bodies, all of it rides on this single moment. Bruce Lee's eyes remain closed. Inside his darkness, there is no gym, no crowd, no woman hurtling toward him like a freight train. There is only breath, only presence, only the ancient conversation between mind and matter. The body believes what you tell it. He thinks, tell it nothing can enter, and nothing will enter. His abdominal wall is no longer muscle. It is decision. Contact. Her knuckles meet his stomach at 43 miles per hour, and stop. Not slow, not gradual. Stop. Like a car hitting a concrete barrier, like a hammer striking an anvil, like flesh meeting something that has forgotten how to be flesh. The sound is wrong. It should be a thud, the wet, heavy impact of fist against meat. Instead, it is a crack, sharp, dry, the sound of something structural failing, but not from him. Her wrist. The shock wave travels backward. Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. But she wasn't prepared for this reaction. Her wrist absorbs the rebound, the carpal bones compress, the radius and ulna jam together, the ligaments stretch beyond their design specifications, and then, snap, not loud, almost gentle, like a twig breaking under snow. Her brain doesn't register it immediately. There is a delay, a half-second, where her nervous system refuses to believe the data it's receiving. Her fist is still pressed against his stomach, his skin is warm, his muscles are hard, impossibly hard, like punching a bag of heated sand that somehow learned to resist. Then the pain arrives. It comes screaming up her forearm like electricity, white-hot, absolute. Her fingers spasm open, her arm recoils, and somewhere in the primitive basement of her consciousness, a voice whispers, "This is not possible. This is not possible. This is not." Bruce Lee opens his eyes. He has not moved, not a millimeter. His hands remain clasped behind his back. His breathing has not changed. His heartbeat, 62 beats per minute before the punch, is now 61. He looks at her and smiles. Not mockery, not triumph. Something older, sadder. The smile of a man who has seen this exact moment before, who knew how it would end before it began, who takes no pleasure in being right. "Your technique," he says softly, "was perfect." She collapses. Her knees hit the concrete. Her left hand cradles her right wrist, already swelling, already wrong, the bones grinding against each other in ways they were never meant to grind. Tears stream down her face, not from pain alone, pain she could handle. Pain was an old friend. This was different. This was impossibility made flesh. This was everything she understood about the human body, every law, every limit, every boundary, crumbling like wet paper. She had just punched a man with everything she had, and broken herself against him. Silence. 40 people in that room, and not one of them remembers how to speak. The air itself seems frozen, thick with chalk dust and disbelief. The hammer kneels on the concrete, broken. Not just her wrist, something deeper. She has spent 15 years building a temple to strength, and in 3 seconds, a man 40 pounds lighter has revealed it to be made of sand. Bruce Lee watches her for a long moment. There is no pride in his eyes, no satisfaction. If anything, there is something close to sorrow. The loneliness of being understood too late, that never gets easier. He walks to where his shirt lies folded, picks it up, slides it over his shoulders, slowly, as if dressing for a funeral. At the door he stops. He turns, looks back at her, still kneeling, still cradling her shattered wrist. Then he walks back, kneels beside her, close enough that only she can hear. He speaks. 7 words, maybe 8. No one else catches them. Her eyes widen. The pain is still there, but beneath it, confusion. Then recognition, then something that might be gratitude. He stands, nods once, and walks out into the Los Angeles night. She never tells anyone what he said. The stories spread anyway. By morning, Bruce Lee's stomach became titanium. The woman's arm shattered to the elbow. Myths are hungry creatures. They eat truth and excrete legend, but something real remained. Something that scientists would later try and fail to explain. In 1973, researchers at UCLA measured Bruce Lee's muscle density, his reaction time, his power output. The numbers didn't make sense. His abdominal muscles registered density readings normally found in tendons. His isometric strength exceeded men twice his weight. Anomalous, they wrote, inconsistent with known human physiology. They never published the full results. Bruce Lee died 4 months later. 32 years old, a headache, a nap he never woke from. The world lost something that day. Not just a man, a possibility. The living proof that the boundary between human and superhuman is not a wall, it is a choice. The hammer recovered. Her wrist healed, though it ached before rainstorms for the rest of her life. But those who knew her said she changed, softer, more curious. Once, decades later, a young fighter asked her about the rumors. "Is it true? Did you really punch Bruce Lee?" She smiled. The same sad smile Bruce had worn that night. "I punched what I thought was a man," she said, "but I don't know what I hit." What did he whisper to her? Some say, "The softest water carves the hardest stone." Others claim, "I am sorry you had to learn this way." One version, the one she supposedly told her daughter on her deathbed, "You did not lose. You just fought the wrong enemy." The truth dissolved with both of them, but the question remains, hanging in the air like chalk dust. What was Bruce Lee? And what did he become, in those 10,000 repetitions, in that darkness behind closed eyes, that made him something more? The story doesn't answer, it only asks.